Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we're doing a bit of a perspective shift on what actually drives corporate profitability. You know, when we think of a business succeeding, we almost always picture those flashy marketing campaigns, right? Or slick salespeople, or maybe a visionary CEO. But behind the scenes, there's a hidden mechanism doing the absolute heavy lifting. We are decoding the purchasing function. So let's just start with a provocative question. How do the world's biggest companies maximize profit? Our gut reaction is usually, well, they just sell more products, right? Just push more volume out the front door. But remember, profit is a super simple equation: income minus expenditure. And what if I told you that attacking the expenditure side of that equation is often way more powerful than just trying to boost sales? Take Walmart as an anchor example here. Walmart didn't become this massive, market-dominating titan just because they have great store layouts. No way. Their dominance actually stems from strategic, absolutely ruthless buying power. By cutting out the middlemen and purchasing directly from suppliers, they drastically reduce their purchasing costs. And here's the kicker. Every single cent they save on buying goes straight to their bottom line, instantly pumping up that profit margin. It's a real game changer. Which brings us to Section 1, the hidden profit engine. So the purchasing function isn't just, back office admin pushing papers. It's a massive expense category, managed by a golden rule known as the 5 rights of purchasing. You absolutely have to get the right quality, from the right source, delivered to the right place at the right time, and, crucially, at the right price. Hitting all 5 of these targets at the exact same time is what keeps operations lean and totally prevents cash flow disasters. Think about it. If you buy at a great price but the delivery is a week late, your whole production line stops. Or if you get the right quality but from a completely unreliable source, you're risking empty shelves. Nailing these 5 rights is literally the foundation of just-in-time manufacturing. Moving on to Section 2, consumer versus business purchasing. Now, we all buy stuff every day, right? So it's super easy to think we understand purchasing. But the stakes are entirely different here. As consumers, our needs are short-term. They're driven by personal satisfaction. We buy clothes, food, maybe a new car. If we buy the wrong brand of cereal, well, it's a mild disappointment. But business needs, they are all about long-term operational continuity and service delivery. They're buying raw materials, heavy equipment, massive bulk supplies. If a business runs out of a key component, production stops, workers stand idle, and literally millions of dollars can vanish in a matter of hours. The scale and pressure of corporate procurement are just in a completely different universe. And this brings us to a really fascinating, honestly kind of counterintuitive definition of right quality in the business world. When you and I hear quality, we usually think of luxury, right? The best, the most expensive. But in corporate purchasing, rate quality simply means the lowest price that still perfectly satisfies the business need and performs its intended function, period. If a standard 60-watt light bulb lights the warehouse perfectly fine, buying some premium designer bulb is complete waste of corporate funds. Quality in this context just means pure, cost-effective functionality. Now, how different retail giants actually organize this buying power internally depends heavily on their specific market needs. You could have centralized purchasing, think of a huge retailer like Game, where one head office buys in massive bulk for all stores to lock in huge discounts. Then there's decentralized purchasing. Imagine a local butchery buying fresh produce straight from nearby farmers to ensure immediate freshness. Or you can use a combination. A supermarket like Checkers might buy manufactured goods, like toys, centrally from their head office, but then they allow individual branch managers to buy fresh flowers locally. Ultimately, the structure dictates the strategy. Okay, let's jump into Section 3, the purchasing cycle. So this is the step-by-step anatomy of a corporate purchase. Whether it's a manual process or highly computerized, every single purchase follows this relentless logical sequence. First, you recognize the need and describe the exact specs. Second, you select the supplier from a vetted shortlist. Third, you issue a formal purchase order. Fourth, you follow up, then receive and inspect the goods to make sure they match those right quality standards we just talked about. And finally, fifth, you handle invoicing, payment, and record feedback. Believe me, if a supplier drops the ball on step 4, there is no way they're making it past step 2 the next time around. All right, moving right along to Section 4, mastering inventory control. It is so fascinating to see how inventory completely changes based on your industry. A manufacturing plant holds raw materials like wood, then semi-finished goods like cut planks, and finally finished goods like a table. A retail store, on the other hand, generally only holds finished goods ready for you, the consumer. But look at the service industry. They don't sell physical inventory, they sell labor and expertise. Yet, and this is key, even a service business like a law firm relies heavily on purchasing items like computers, software, and stationery just to keep the lights on and remain operational. Everyone plays the purchasing game. Now, managing all this inventory is a serious, high-stakes balancing act. Holding inventory is actually incredibly risky because of two competing financial pressures. On one side, you've got carrying costs. Basically, every item sitting on a shelf represents tied-up capital, storage space, insurance, and the risk that it might just become obsolete. You absolutely want to keep this low. But on the flip side, you have ordering costs. If you keep your stock super low and just order constantly, your administrative costs are going to skyrocket. More paperwork, more phone calls, more expensive transport fees every single day. So, how do businesses actually solve this tug of war? Well, they use this sort of magic puzzle piece called the economic order quantity, or EOQ for short. It's the exact mathematical point where carrying costs and ordering costs intersect to give you the absolute minimum total cost. Let's look at a quick stationery shop example to make this concrete. Suppose the shop determines their maximum inventory capacity for, say, boxes of pens is 160. And they know they can't let stock drop below a minimum of 10 boxes, otherwise they risk empty shelves. So what's the economic order quantity sweet spot? It's exactly 150 boxes. By simply subtracting that minimum from the maximum, purchasing managers find the exact optimal number to order every single time. It completely takes the guesswork out of the equation and just locks in maximum efficiency. Now let's take that mathematical planning one step further with break-even analysis. This formula calculates exactly when a business stops bleeding money and starts generating actual profit. Let's look at a fun business case. Dairy Donkey, an ice lolly manufacturer. Let's say they have fixed overhead costs of 30,000 Rand. They sell each lolly for 5 Rand, but their purchasing cost to make one is 350 Rand. By taking their fixed costs and dividing it by their selling price minus their purchasing costs, we find their break-even target. And the magic number is 20,000 lollies. Dairy Donkey has to produce and sell exactly 20,000 lollies just to keep the lights on. Every single lolly sold after that 20,000 mark, pure profit. But notice the immense leverage here. If the purchasing team can negotiate that 350 cost down to just 3 Rand, that break-even number drops dramatically. The purchasing cost literally dictates the survival and profitability of the entire business. It's wild. All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, the reality check. Because here is the hard truth. All this brilliant mathematical planning, the EOQs, the break-even formulas, it means absolutely nothing without physical validation. Rubbish in equals rubbish out. It's a blunt reality check. Look, you can have the most advanced, multi-million-dollar computerized inventory system in the world, but if your physical warehouse is a mess, your data is completely useless. Relying purely on admin systems without actually walking the floor and doing physical stock taking, it leads to absolute chaos. If a worker drops a box of inventory, breaks it, and throws it away without logging it, your computer will confidently tell you that you have stock that you simply don't possess. So to prevent this chaos without having to spend all day counting tiny screws, smart businesses use the Pareto principle. Typically, just 20% of your stock items account for 80% of your inventory's total value and profit. You really don't need to count every single cheap item every single day. Instead, businesses heavily focus their physical interim spot checks on that crucial 20% of high unit cost stock. It's just working smarter, not harder. And this brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. Purchasing does not operate in a vacuum. It is essentially the central nervous system, intimately connecting every other business function. Think about it. It links with marketing to make sure products are actually available for big campaigns and priced competitively. It integrates with finance to tightly control cash flow and budgets. It talks directly to operations to guarantee raw materials arrive right before the production schedule needs them. And it completely relies on logistics for safe delivery and storage. When the purchasing function fails, the whole organism shuts down. So, I really want to leave you with this final thought to challenge how you view this hidden engine of business operations moving forward. Whether you're running a massive multinational corporation or just a local corner shop, you have to ask yourself, are you just buying or are you strategically purchasing? Because as we've seen throughout this explainer, the difference between those two things is exactly where the real profit is hiding. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.